comes in, you want to be probably playing retake. So having the Sky and the Silver on a lineup, it just really allows you to dominate the map, really control it. So now it's a real test for Acend to bring this back, to get the reverse sweep, to get into the semi-finals on the weekend. For Vitality, this could be a really interesting upset, and it might force more people to pay attention to this massive org, by the way, now that they're in Valorant.
Absolutely, yeah. So far this org has flew under the radar. However, now they've taken a map off Acend. We come into Haven as they look to do it again and close this out 2-0, take a step towards at least Challengers Finals, maybe even Masters. Acend on the defensive side started out. Bit of A control for them, quickly denied as Vitality flash out of a cloud burst and force those players to the site. Control is going to be the name of the game though, because they're still lurking outside of Garage and outside of C, keeping their options open.
Yeah, as soon as Acend heard that there was a bit of a push on A main, they put that camera down. Actually, we're going to see Vax sort of push through it. Hasn't quite cleared it, but maybe that was the intention so far. If anything, it's bought a little bit of time. Vitality still trying to decide where they're going. Default in, interestingly enough, pay attention to Jesmine that's just outside the double doors. Maybe to take a cheeky peek to see what they can find, but so far, Acend not really getting involved in any tussles early on. They're more than happy to give up the A site if necessary, because that's the site that Vitality is looking to head towards.
Yeah, absolutely. Head towards it, they shall. Steamrolling the A side as Brahms looks to just catch anybody pushing on out. Might even go for the trade. He doesn't have the dash. If he had the dash, you probably run with that wolf and try to catch somebody off guard with a quick headshot, but when you don't, it's not worth it. We talked about control, and the control of the map is there, but they're ready for it. Bone Cold checking it. Jesmine now on 7 HP. A good read of how their opponents like to play this map, knowing they would likely still have that lurk out there. But now, time is low as they want to push into the site. They've got to force these fights quickly. A good counter flash leaves damage to go over towards Vitality, and CNET on the site by himself. Good delay with those flashes, and everything goes to Vitality. That is a clean pistol.
And the fact that you have Jesmine there, he died, but just the damage he was able to do on sort of B mid, well away from where the objective was played, where the spike was planted. But again, it forces Acend to pay attention to behind them. They can't just try and run it and gun it into the site. And Vitality, unlike a lot of teams, look at the positioning. It's super aggressive. They're not planting the spike in and backing off to A sewers or A main. They really wanted to take these fights against Acend before they can, you know, get their retake utility together. Really nip it in the bud, catch him by surprise. Because of that, 1-0 up.
1-0 indeed. Vitality, best foot forward on this one, and I think so we mentioned that the first portion of the halves have gone towards Acend over in the previous map. Let's see if they can answer back on this one, because it was Vitality that were incredibly dangerous with the pistols, and now Acend have a few to work with over on the defensive side to try and give them a taste of their own medicine, but somehow I don't quite believe in it. Interesting, we've even got a shorty being bought up. I've seen that weapon bought a little bit more frequently coming into second rounds when you're holding in certain positions, because I think for a good while, literally nobody bought it.
They gotta make something happen. I think Europe has a bit of a bad reputation of not checking some angles. Let's see how Brahms does right in the face. Well, there you go. Shorty headshot as well, just to make it clear. And now, from Vitality getting all of the 50 rounds on Icebox, now Acend looking to do maybe a bit more damage. Low-key trying to trade for his fallen teammate over on the C site, but in any case, it's created a bit of space. The heals come through with a regrowth from Sky, and Loki's going to push for a bit more as they start to line up yet again.
Oh man, that is some serious damage done. Jesmine farming up the kills, but if they lose another weapon, even at that point with 2 surviving, that's a very bad round for Vitality. You win it, you get ult points, sure, whatever, but coming into this one, you're going to have to invest a lot to get weapons back on the board, and Ryan, that's where things get dangerous, because your opponents are going to have better weapons, but you still have to gamble quite a lot, so if they lose this one, well, it ain't going to be pretty.
Yeah, you got to buy up to some extent. I'm curious of what Jesmine's going to do, because he just seems to have the sheriff in hand so far, so they're going to be pretty happy with that, as it's Vandals almost across the board. It's just Sarso that's going for the weaker gun, I think. I'm trying to be a Vandal guy, but it's hard. And Acend actually explosively get the 2 kills early on. Bone Cold does get traded out from Brahms, but Acend having the advantage and extending it as well over on C long.
Indeed, pulled back into a 3 versus 2. Honestly, though, if you can at least find those rifles, which indeed they can, Jesman picking one up, it puts them back into a spot where, considering the round that's in it, it's not the end of the world. They can try to make a big clutch play. Mid being defended by that little camera they've got up. They know that nobody's able to push on through so far as they check it, and they'll go back out to seize the control for free. But where to go from here is really the question, and there's no easy answer to that. Although, I would say B is probably the worst of the decisions. Running up through the B site would leave you with players able to come in on either side and the quickest rotations, but losing one and then them knowing you're on second mid is probably worse.
Acend just leaves the Trailblazer, just gets the kill it's following up. So now it's Vac in a 1 versus 3, heading for the Bermuda Triangle between these 3 players, and Starzo peeks a little bit wide just to make sure that Vac, even though fully flashed, isn't just going to pre-aim the corner and catch him completely by surprise. And a really nicely played round from Acend. It's good conditioning, right? To just make sure that as soon as the spawn doors open, to take a fight and to win it. Really show to Vitality, hey, you aren't allowed to play aggressive here. This is our map pick. We're on defense, and we dictate the terms on how you can execute. Really well played from Acend.
Absolutely. 2-1, and we mentioned that obviously Vitality lost so many weapons previously that they were going to be having a little bit of a money struggle. Now obviously because Jesman took the Sheriff in the previous round, it is slightly better. Still leaves Sender without a weapon to play with and holding B, so he's going to play behind those smokes for the majority of the round. We come into this and you can see that Vitality are definitely gearing up for a straight take in towards Garage. They push on forward, and oh, Paranoia actually just about catches Bone Cold. They've got the sight. Sender struggles on the cross to really do as much damage as he would with a rifle, but the plant is theirs.
Seekers is still available on the defense, just used on the attack. The Trailblazer is going to see if it can spot out any players, and Cine tries to follow through, and there's just 3 Vitality players ready and waiting. Now the Seekers is going to be used to Hunter's Fury, thrown in through double doors. Keela is just trying to find an angle, but this is Vitality facing aggressively, not afraid of these engagements. Low-key, through the smoke and the spray, has been stuck in these awkward diffuser positions, but at least this time has the help of Jesman. All up for Starzo to try and just stick the defuse, and it could actually come through if it wasn't for the classic pistol of Loki. Bit dicey there, but Vitality doing what they've been doing best so far this series.
Both players going for the defuse were on low HP. That's a tragedy waiting to happen. The sprays through the smoke at random. Even just aimed to break the wall, ended up getting 2 kills. 3-1 is around that Vitality, or is a scoreline that Vitality probably didn't fully expect to see, considering how things started in that second round. But Acend being crushed back puts them onto pistols. This should be a 4th on the board for Vitality, and you can only imagine the morale is now riding high in that camp. The task in this round is to lose as little as possible. They should be winning it most of the time, but how many rifles do they have to rebuy is the real question.
Yeah, if they can keep this tempo up, not overextend. I think some teams kind of go, oh, we're in the lead against a really good team. Let's just try and clear this map out as quickly as possible. So they rush and they make mistakes. Right now, Vitality, of just the way that they play it, are always at risk of just overstepping their boundaries and being punished for it. Hell, even Loki here, if he doesn't check the left-hand side, could be caught out from a classic, but this is nice. Restrained, conservative almost, and Bram's there to protect the teammate. This is so much better from Vitality than we've seen from them recently.
100%. Vitality looking way better all of a sudden. It's almost out of the blue. Oh, that's an interesting play. Hey, never mind. How does Vac get away with that, man? He was almost being executed by the pistol. They walked past, brushing shoulders, and didn't notice. 4-1. And I said, how many players will they lose? Well, 0. It was about as good as it gets.
Neutralized.
As clean as you like. I just love the fact that Loki, I know he's played up against the classic, but that kind of play, the Eldron comes through, Starzo's like, oh, I need to make a move now or my position's going to get given up, and Brams is just there to protect. And I've really enjoyed watching Vac. He was a bit slow to start in this series, but he's come in, Sender as well. It's nice supportive play, but all of these players could still frag out when necessary, and that's a scary team. Some teams have monsters like CNED, but some of the other players lag behind a little bit in fragging nature. For Vitality, everybody can pop off.
Yep, absolutely. They've built a monster team, and really the question was down to strategy, I suppose. How tactically deep would they be? And well, we're starting to find out that, well, pretty damn good in the tactics department. Coldamenta was spotted up on top of that wall, and I think as they look to push on out, it feels like he doesn't know that. Like, he might think he still has the jump on them. Still, it might not even matter, because Vitality seem to be looking elsewhere on the map for at least a moment.
Position of Brams is going to get given up, but he's not backing off. In fact, he doubles down, dashing onto the site. Cybercage is going to add a little bit of subtlety, but he just barrels through onto Keyless. Coldamenta is still there facing. The shock dart in the face is going to block his vision more than anything. And Vac there can get the follow-up. The spike is going to go down, and a one-player advantage there for Vitality on the retake.
Yeah, Vitality in the better spot. They just have to push in and trade. Starzo clearing out in towards Garage, and they know now that they can be relatively comfortable on their way through there, but hold on. Vitality, 2 quick kills, pull it way into the lead. The flash, perfect. But now, too many players to contend with. That is going to be an easy enough round for Vitality on the way back. And I think when you're Acend, 1 round at this point, you're starting to sweat. You're starting to really worry if you don't get on the board soon.
Yeah, 6 rounds and you're forced to eco 3 times. Things might start to snowball even more for Vitality. And you can tell that they're much more confident now. Momentum's building, probably shouting at each other in between these rounds because they're excited. They could potentially knock out the Master Wand winners. And Acend, it's the opposite, right? All of that expectation, and it now might just dawn on you. We cannot lose this map. We cannot lose it to Vitality, who so far are looking on fire currently.
Yeah, this series is definitely the peak of Vitality from what we've seen so far. Oh, look at this play by CNED. He's looking for one, but Sender tucks himself away. Quickly realizes the threat that he's facing. 1 minute 15 on the clock, and, well, Vitality are only just in their spawn. Very little control, whereas Acend have got a lot. They've pushed up A. They know that that's cleared. They've seen C long for quite a while. Nobody there. This is good, but the downside is that with a bookie in play, Starzo is now being spotted. They know that he's here close on long. They're going to see him with the Wolf. He's going in for 1, and that's the best he could really get done. CNED with another. Okay, man advantage. But what do Vitality do from here?
Acend is starting to constrict. Keyless is getting a lot of information that the rotate's coming through. It's such a shame that the weaponry isn't quite there as Acend make their way onto A. Now suddenly Keyless is in behind. The Neural Theft is good to go to at least show exactly where these last 2 defending players are. And it's a 4 versus 2. The guns are still in the hand of the 2 players. And Jesmond actually going to be a bit more proactive. CNED is about to face him. And if there's any round to have any theatricals from CNED that you typically see, it should be now. There's a little bit of damage done to Vitality. They're holding on for dear life, but CNED out of the server for now.
No, he's gone, dealt with and dusted. Acend, man advantage still, but it quickly fades away. There's Coldamenta pulling it back, but for how much longer, low-key? Oh, it felt like he had that one done. Starzo at 20 HP just about survives. And we will have a defuse coming through to put 5-2 on the scoreboard. It's something. Certainly on a round like this, on such a light buy, to get that much work done, it could be what puts them back in high spirits.
You've mentioned the proactiveness here of like Starzo, even just getting 1 kill and making sure it gets traded out, because now at this point, Acend have the numbers advantage. Vitality have given away the information that they're heading towards A. They kind of just rush to C, and Acend, because they've pushed them so much, they've managed to sort of trick them almost. They've fallen right into their play, and considering Acend didn't really have the guns to make that happen, a huge thrifty round for them to pick up. Vitality, their money is still okay for now, but this might be the opening for Acend to bring it back to a closer series.
It could well be. We've had a pause come in there, tactical timeout from Acend. As we're saying, they've been using quite a lot of pauses throughout this, and I think that just really summarizes how much of a struggle this has been so far, Ryan. Like, they're used to coming in versus top teams and having a close game, but no doubt they thought Vitality would be a much easier matchup than what they're currently being offered. I'm impressed by this Vitality roster. So let's see what more they've got to offer.
I've got your trail.
We come into round number 8. They're going to be the ultimate use straight away until the op shot rings out. They don't move around the corner. Very, very wise stuff. CNED even gets spotted and now is being pursued. He goes out the smoke, but Brams is right behind him, man. Look at this. That position held. They're safe to plant that spike.
Stazo down to very low HP, just throwing out as many guiding lights as he can just to find an opening now for Vitality to keep that ground, Acend to push in to stop the spike maybe being planted. CNED eventually does get that kill onto the operator, kills onto Jesmond, who is in double doors but adds on to more. He's smoked off currently, forced to reload, and Vitality now need to make something happen, but this is where Acend start to shine. They're absolutely chipping away at the attackers. It's just Sender. And CNED, as soon as he gets the operator in those hands, he gets a triple kill. How about that?
Who would have thought, Ryan?
Who saw that coming?
This man with an op? Well, that's a first. 5-3, exactly the round they needed, right? The confidence build-up. CNED just falls back, has to completely concede the site, but as we say, taking B is always going to be, or rather, taking B, not so much, but holding on to B is very, very difficult. You have to get control of either the C or the A side of it, and they attempted to push towards A. They did so much damage to Starzo, but Vac was almost just abandoned, because as he pushes out to try and take duels, CNED just kept picking off his support. Every time a player went to run towards Vac, he died.
I think one key thing as well is we saw Brams push on to B, potentially there to push CNED with the operator, but he stops, doesn't he? And he sort of backs up a little bit. Now with the attack operator, he's going to be much more aggressive. He isn't going to let those opportunities flying by. He's not going to be restrained. He's going to up the ante. He's going to put some pressure onto Starzo that is forced to use utility to get some information, but all he catches is Brams. Now he's on the site as the execute comes in. He's good for one kill onto Loki as the spike was about to go down. But now look at all of this. Acend just want to make sure that they're there facing Vitality, but they're losing numbers fast.
Yeah, this is scary, man. Vitality 4 versus 2. The round almost in the pocket already. And for Bone Cold and Coldamenta, I think it's time to go and save. Dashing out of there, especially if you jump out of heaven, you're pretty much guaranteed death. Maybe if you... I mean, what was the point of that? That's all I'll ask. What was the point? A slow orb, they're still going to get out of there alive, and you've lost a weapon. Bone Cold now left to save by himself, and he's in a bit of trouble because they double peek him. A messy, I'll call it that to be nice, end to the round, and 6-3 on the board. Acend, well... their money is okay, but they sure could have used one of those rifles.
Yeah, hindsight is a key thing, really, and just saving the guns and backing out might have been good, especially now that Bone Cold looking unlikely to afford any form of rifle when everybody else can. If one of them just saved the gun, things might have looked a bit sharper, but with games and rounds like this is where maybe the common sense of the fundamentals go out of the window a little bit, because you're panicking. You're down. If you lose this map, you don't get to go to Reykjavik. You don't even get to go to the EMEA finals, right? There's no second chances after this, as we keep mentioning, and Vitality are leaning full tilt into that. They're taking so many risks, because if they don't, Acend win this easy. If they do, well, at least they've got a chance, and they're making it much more concrete now.
We'll talk about the implications of this series a little bit later, but I'll put it this way. The team that won Masters not making it, well, that would make it a whole lot easier for the other teams in EMEA, in the micro regions, to potentially walk out with their spot in the World Finals at the end of the year, in the championship. I think we really need to see them walk on through, but for Vitality, they're putting up such a good fight that this quarterfinal is much more of a struggle than I expected any game to be, with the exception of Opportunists. Brams opening onto CNED. That's the advantage that Vitality want. A player, it was Killaz last map, it's CNED here who's turning up and, well, being dealt with right away. Killaz, the man I mentioned on the Cypher, obviously not going to be quite as capable of taking those early fights as he is when he's playing the Reyna. But he's taken down. Okay. This is not a bad start. I mean, look, things started to go their way for sure. Starzo in a 1v1 as kills keep on going the way of Vitality, but oh my god. Down to the pistol to close it. Brams, what, 11 HP? That comes down to the wire. Those pistols, I'd already counted them out, but Vitality swung. They gave the opportunities and they lost the duels.
Yes, Starzo makes it so close, and Vitality just over facing, but Brams' position in there, super aggressive, stood just out in the open, facing the back of the C site, just waiting for a fight. Like, he knows that if he wants to win this game, He needs to take those challenges. He needs to be in positions that Acend just don't expect him to be on. Even the fact he's attack operating is like a huge shout out because it could just break the economy if it goes wrong. A lot of teams just don't opt to attack up for that very reason. Now the money, yet again, not good for Acend. The Bladestorm has to come out from Acend. And now he needs to sort of come up with something big now because Vitality still building that round deficit up.
Yeah, that lead is pretty huge now on the attack, and I can't see them being much weaker when they go to defensive side. It's not like they're running a 5 duelist comp. We're not in NA where that defense could be that little bit weaker. For Acend. And this is also widely regarded in the pro community as a relatively balanced map. You know, if you get 6-6 on this map, it's fine for both teams. Brams starting it out onto Coldamenta. Any further rounds lost would just be devastating for Acend, and well, devastating seems to be the order of the day as Vitality get a 5v3 post plant, and again, Acend are left in a spot they're not going to save, but they've got weak weapons. You know, unless you find those openings very, very quickly, you're unlikely to find anything.
Best scenario is you get some kills, you make sure that Vitality's economy is going into the half. Is it going to be that good? Bone Cold at least getting a kill onto Vac. He's going to check this corner where Brams is holding, but considers it at the worst time, and Brams just has an inkling that he's going to get pushed. So it seems like it's just going to be the one kill so far, unless Starzo is continuing to push into Brams. He does, but it's a free K for him with a Vandal. And Keyless with the Bucky miles away from anybody else. Even just saving onto this gun isn't in Keyless's best interest, let's put it that way.
Yeah, I think he's about to dive into the spike, at least you would imagine so. It might be a little late.
No, I don't think he can.
He's too late. There's no weapon there for him. Oh no. He's why has he done that?
I mean, it is the last round. It seems that they have money.
He hadn't used any utility, yeah, so that's all right. I didn't notice he still had a full belt, so just about able to get it, but he's not going to have any armor. So I still feel like, you know, diving into that spike, you're going to be able to get your armor at least.
Yeah, it might seem pedantic, but it's those kind of mistakes, if you can even call it that it just feels like Acend way more wobbly than we're used to. Like, this is kind of stuff that we've not really seen from them in the past. They've usually been pretty devoted to their way of playing. Now it just feels that they're not quite sure what to do in any given scenario. And Vitality are not so much just riffing, it's not like G2 of 2020, but they're playing to their strengths. Even just staying here and holding that line is such a good play from Vitality, and Acend just don't know how to really go about this sometimes.
Yeah, they're definitely struggling right now. CNED able to take the kill and back out at least. There's a light at the end of the tunnel, but the man disadvantage that they have needs to be recovered. That spike not yet planted, and it won't be, not to the A side anyways, as they are gently shifting their course towards C. It's spotted out by the Cypher ultimate used, but oh, Vac, he's going to be the problem for them. So he can safe rotate. They know that he's there. So there's a good chance that as he walks out, he dies. So I'm surprised he's still going for it. But they're just so comfortable right now and so confident in this that he will take a very, very slow flank. Acend have to be quick to get to site, or they're going to be in a lot of trouble in just a couple of seconds. And, well, quick is the name of the game. What is that kill as? A double kill for him. Looking in towards Garage for more. Vac finally gets that backstab into play, and CNED is left alone. Despite a big play by Killez, they still don't get the round, Ryan. It's 9-3.
Switching sides.
Yeah, they just break in. They take all of that space towards the defender spawn. So even with Keyless barreling through the tunnel of Garage, it's just look at all of the space. Look at where Vac is currently. It's that confidence to go, I'm just going to go all the way into their spawn, and I'm going to get a free K, and you're all going to watch me do it. And CNED just doesn't know which way to look. Of course, when you're looking down the operator, your sighting is pretty impaired. And it's like Vitality know that, and they're just going to try and blindside Acend as much as possible. 9-3. Right now, Vitality just don't need to try and rush this. Don't try and push for too much information. Play this out fundamentally and let Acend make the mistakes. Let them fumble up, because right now it seems to be the common thing happening so far on Haven.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, even going into the previous map, there were a lot of mistakes being made by Acend, like especially those ecos. They left a lot of duels that they didn't need to take and took them on advantage spots for the pistol. There's the push straight up through long. Loki able to deal with one, and the second player with Jesman as they try to deal with Loki knowing he's slightly low. Jesman's there to save the day. Vitality, oh, they're just tearing them to shreds. Out through long. The flank is good. The flank is done. 10-3. This Oh, this is demotivating, Ryan. I mean, if you're Acend, you need that pistol.
Yeah, I mean, it even goes to show the CNED there gets 2 kills, and you're suddenly thinking, oh, CNED about to do CNED things. Then suddenly Brams from behind him is just full running just to shut him down as soon as possible, because he knows that you can't give CNED that time of day. And I feel that's been one of the main things. Like, I've mentioned this before, CNED looked amazing in Masters 1. We all know the potential of him as a player, but if you look back at, even as far as BBL and Nulpenki, consistency was a thing for that team overall. They had great players, but it was difficult to make it happen consistently. And I think Vitality have done a really good job of making sure that CNED doesn't dictate the map. They've just been on him constantly, and CNED can't breathe because of it.
Yeah, I think as well, they're struggling on the leadership front at this point. Previously, obviously, they had that bit of a support structure there, but now new coaching regulations, you can't talk during the game. That's why you see so many pauses being used. And for Acend, you see the struggle when they don't have an established, experienced IGL there to help them adapt to these plays round on round. Cole Dementa showing the bookie maybe isn't as powerful as we all thought. Missing it, I think he right-clicked up close. But they've got the advantage. They've got the spike down. For Acend, this is about as good as it's been so far. And in fact, up against Spectres, I'd say they have a pretty good advantage. What? CNED was holding the right side. His teammate was watching it. Brams on the side swipe down to the frenzy, but they're diffusing it. No, it doesn't go all the way. Brams trying his best to be the distraction, but Acend just about edged that round out.
And the fact that they can fully buy as well, it's going to break the economy for Vitality. This would have gone so differently if Rams didn't have to reload 2 different guns. If he just held for half a second more, it would have been 11-3 to Vitality. But Acend needed to pull something out of nowhere. CNED rushing through with a Stinger was able to just create some form of space. He has the Blade Storm, but he also has a Vandal. You look over to Vitality, a couple of Shouts and a Frenzy, but they've made less guns work more on Icebox. Let's see if they can do it on Haven.
Always curious to me when you've got a Blade Storm and you let your teammates play with the likes of Spectres and you take a Vandal. It's a weird choice, but I guess they're not intending to use this ultimate at all in this round. Instead, going straight in for the duels. Acend, they can't afford to lose anymore. Those pistols not really doing anything for them, and there you go. CNED with the double, nice and clean. He's going to updraft into heaven as well, get a nice advanced post-plant position, and they even swap over the spike to Starzo, but Brams is quick and clean. Double peek down below, forces CNED out of heaven, and Vitality, I mean, they've got a decent position to do some damage. Really, you're just looking at 1 or 2 more kills and you're happy.
Might as well go for it, Vitality. You'll be able to full buy next round, but I am a little bit curious on what they're going to be able to do from here, really. You don't want to be trying to rush, trying to do too much. You're going to be sat there thinking we have 3 rounds left to get. Let's just get them as soon as we can. Let's not let Ascent back into this game. But because of that, you can make mistakes. You can maybe do some really obvious plays. You got, again, the flank coming in from Vac all the way into the attacker's spawn there. And Ascend predicting it, waiting for it, gonna kill that player, and then suddenly Vitality look a bit more like headless chickens. It's how these next few rounds go. But now we have ultimates. Loki with Hunter's Fury. They've been sort of hit and miss, literally, so far. But it would be a great time to make sure that they can wreck a couple of kills in a round.
Let's see how much they can get done. This is where I'll really question it. You know, still keeping the Vandal there on CNED when 2 of your teammates have Spectres. I don't know. I just pop the Blade Storm at this point.
It's like a break glass in case of emergency, but...
Yeah, exactly. Oh, that's good. That's a tag. That's a strong tag, but he doesn't even move from the spot. They expect him to be falling back. Sender, speaking of falling back, that's exactly what the team do. They go and watch their behind as Brams picks up 1, Vac falls, and the advantage stays forever in the hands of Ascent. Now, they just have to hold on. The time is on their side, and Vitality have next to no information, certainly not on Cold Demented down below. And at this point, I think the word save starts to float around the comms a little bit. They're definitely going to think about it. Maybe not with that kill from Brams, though. Time is just so low.
You want to save this gun, but if you can just keep the pressure onto Ascend, it's going to work out nicely. Brams with the 4K. Even if CNED and Ascend get this 6th round, they're going to feel the effect of that. And look at where Vitality have died. The blue X is on the minimap. That is the most Vitality thing that you can see on their defense. Pushing all the way to A lobby to catch in. And really, it's, do they continue to do that even though Acend seem to know that it's happening? Or do they double down? Brams with the defensive operator pushing into the spawn. You know, like you said, at this point, you think he'd save, and he's like, nah, I want them all. I'm going to collect them all like Infinity Stones. Just gets the 4K, and it puts even more pressure onto Acend despite losing a round, winning a round even.
Yeah, exactly. It stops them from having the economy as happy as it would have been, as safe as it could have been if it wasn't for that insane performance. And here's the ult popped by Brams. He's playing with a pistol as a sidearm, not even a ghost upgraded to. He fully believes in the knifing ability. Vitality on the flank. That's Brams, as the team are just buying time for it. But Brams actually backs off in the end, and they lose control of the site, get completely overrun. And at this point, I think we're looking very much towards an Acend round. I like the fact that as well, Brams pops his ult and gives the op over to Jesman. That's very selfless. He's already got one. If he gets one more kill, they definitely go for this.
I think they would go for it regardless. That seems to be the name of the play so far. Very gun-ho. Haven't really saved all that much so far. Loki trying to find an opening. This wall is put into a pretty opportune position if they can get their timings right. They know that the Sage is over in the corner, and the right clicks from Brams don't connect. It's just a classic. And Jesman with the operator up from heaven is able to do the damage. Now suddenly, this is a great one for Vitality. It seemed Acend had it knuckled down, and Vitality continue to push the momentum into their favor. 2 more rounds, and they knock out the Masters 1 winners.
That's ridiculous. That's actually ridiculous, the fact that they've won that round. The advantages for Acend, they have everything to work for. You get Brams going up into heaven, taking out his Blade Storm, and popping off with 1 kill. At that point, I'm thinking, okay, you know what? This is a 3v4. It's sort of winnable. But everything went wrong. Brams pushes into sight. He misses with the right click of his ult. So there's the Blade Storm gone. As I said, he didn't even have a ghost to go to, so he's on a classic. He right clicks that, right clicks it again, doesn't do any damage. But that buys enough time and puts the player under enough pressure that he's not worried about Jesman coming in with the op from above. There's that kill, and then they just steamroll into the site with a big burst of aggression. Acend, we mentioned it on Icebox. They've lost rounds they absolutely shouldn't have. And that right there, that was another one.
Shout out to Jesman as well, the 2 kills with the operator. I'll be honest, like, as soon as I saw FQ being dropped for Vitality, I was like, that doesn't make much sense. FQ is an exceptional Sentinel player. But then you see Jesman come in, a player that hasn't been picked up since First Strike, even though his team No Penky, an unsigned team, made it all the way to the top 8. And he's really showing his worthwhile to a team now. Even just picking up the operator from a dead teammate and still getting 2 kills. He did it on Icebox, he's done it on Haven. Acend, you've got to pull something from nothing at this point because you don't look the same team anymore.
100% agree, Ryan. They do not look even remotely like the Masters champions that we know they are. Brams onto Starzo opens this one up, and another disadvantage for Acend to play into. The res comes in. It's at least something, but they're spamming it down hard. They are looking to punish these guys. As Acend get the spike planted, Vitality want the retake. The Wolf did not get very far. I don't know if that was a misclicking, canceling it. Oh, that flash is so good, but they're not blind. They're in the smoke, and they don't even notice Starzo. How has he gotten away with that? How has he just walked straight past them? He even threw a flash into their face, and they don't see him. That's ridiculous.
I need to see that one again. It's just like... Alright, how's it going? Nice to see you. It's like literally just like seeing somebody in the street just nodding your head to say hello. Like they don't even look at him.
He walked straight past them. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
I mean, it worked for Acend.
Yeah.
Like they literally found an opening. They blindsided Vitality, who were not expecting that. Really is just sort of taking a leaf out of their book. But Vitality... Oh, the money's actually not that good. Like, the fact that Acend be keeping these rounds close means that the money is going to mean, like, a bookie, some rifles, a classic in hand, and even then, they're losing out players instantly because Bone Cold and CNED are starting to aggress.
Hey, here's where the Vandals want to do the work, but it's a 2v5. I'm not counting Vitality out because they've won every round that I've been certain they would lose. But now it seems to be that they're contemplating a save, perhaps. I mean, they don't have that much money for the next round. I don't know they could even force up alongside this. Brams is still here. Well, you've got like the latest flank slash save ever from Jesman. Like he's shift walking down middle as Brams is fighting up in heaven. I will say, I don't fully understand why. That seems like 2 very different approaches. But yeah, it's happened. That's all I can say.
Now I'm really curious about Vitality's mental. They can smell it. They can smell the opportunity. One more round, do they at least bring it to overtime? And even if they lose that, will we go to another map? Acend, it's more leaning towards Acend at that point, I'll be honest. But we've said that so far about every map so far on Vitality, and they've come in and surprised everybody. I feel so bad. I feel so bad that I didn't predict Vitality when I was asked yesterday, and I literally said to you, I feel it in my bones.
Yeah. But you didn't have the balls to predict it, Ryan.
It's my first day. I don't want to be 0-2 on predictions, but I still might.
You know what, Ryan? Some of us have to live that life every day, okay? Predictions don't always go our way. But the thing I will say about this is, on the one hand, and I do not want to take anything away from Vitality, they have been playing incredibly well. But Acend have let me down, man. Like, they're not looking good at all.
Consistency is an issue with some of these teams as well. Across the world, we saw Vision Strikers lose today, so we might see some even bigger upsets, but Acend steadying the ship a little bit. Jessamine might be in a bit too deep, and with the Paranoid connected so nicely from Bone Cold, they're going to increase the numbers in favor of Acend. Sender at least tries to make it closer, but it's now a 4 versus 2. The spike is not going over to C like it may look to Vitality. In fact, it's going over to B, where Loki is waiting for them and could line them up nicely if it wasn't for Cold Dementor just nailing that shot.
A 1v4 left over for that game, looking too likely. And Acend, well, they seem to have gotten themselves back in the rhythm, back in the rhyme. Get on up, it's bobsled time. The one thing I will say is that, you know, when they're finding these early kills, when they're getting like 3 or 4 kills before the spike's going down, that's fine. When they're not, when it's like they get the A site in 5v5 or they get 1 or 2 kills, it seems like they play as if there's one guy left alive, you know? They're not really coordinating that well. I mean, look at the round, the 5v3 they lost. Nobody traded. Every peak was a 1v1 fight. And yes, Vitality did very well to initiate some of those engagements and make them uncomfortable. Oh, Vac is dead. Vac is so dead. Surely, there's the first, but will he be pursued by Killez? Yes, he will, and there we go. Okay, he's down. The weapon lost, and it's a shame, but it's not quite as punishing as in other FPSs. He will still get his loss bonus.
Yeah. I mean, you sort of hit the nail on the head for Vitality. It really is like, if you want to use like, it's like armies of olden times burning their own boats to stop them from retreating, so they have to win the battle that they're in. I can't remember which war, which army, whoever it was, but I know, like, burning the boats is an expression, and that's what Vitality are doing. Because what's the point of doing anything else? You lose this, nobody would predict otherwise, right? At least if you lean in and just take those risks, you make it interesting. And 11-9, well, this is a very interesting series so far, and it could continue to be, but CNED's woken up a little bit more on the Seekers is going to explode over onto the A site.
Oh, those shock darts going to tickle up a couple points off of CNED. He's close to dropping, but no, he still takes Brahms to jump out of heaven, punished for Bone Cold. CNED Killez answering up. Hello. A 1v3. But he hasn't even got the rifle that he did when the 1v4 was in play. I think at this point, again, a save is his best option, but there's not really that much to save for. He's going to commit to it. But winning it out, very tough. Ultimate, I think you can see how little he believes in it in the fact that he didn't pop his Seekers. He plays that super passive. Acend now 1 away. I wouldn't have guessed this considering how the first half went.
There's a tactical timeout now for Vitality coming up. And this is what I was afraid of. You know, Vitality have been on 11 rounds for quite some time, and they've allowed Ascent back into the game. You're looking at a round where money is awkward, to say the least. Brahms having the operator, it really feels almost like a do or die. Like, we either see Vitality win this round to go in overtime, or Ascend wins this 13-11. It feels like one of those two scenarios is going to happen based on how Ascend have just bullied their way back into this and have stolen their momentum. I think Vac needs to have a really good Seekers, needs to time it well, but it's how they play it. Whether they push down C-Long to get information, whether they sit back, wait for the retake and use the ultimates then. Timing is everything, and Ascend have not given them that freedom or opportunity to dictate the fights as they want it. Ascend are like, nope, we're coming through whether you like it or not.
Yeah, well, it has backfired a number of times, but in the last couple at least, it's been working out. I like the bait that we're having pretty much every single round from Bone Cold. That jump out on long, bait out an operator, bait out the tag from a camera just so they know where that utility is or where that player would be. Left side, you've already got them spotted, so Sander no longer in a safe position, but comfortable playing it considering the fact that Loki is here to go out for the double peek. I do wonder for Acend, they're going to take this round nice and slow, evidently. Where do they end up? Because Vitality don't seem to be extending and giving any opportunities away.
Got him.
Information is garnered. They know where Acend is at least, and the team doesn't tend to be too far away at least. Question is, how is Brams going to deal with this? He's going to have a lot of utility thrown his way. Could be flash from the Paranoia. The Sky's coming through with her utility. You need to play this carefully. A kill here from Brams would be pivotal. He did the same on Icebox. He's about to run into trouble, and nobody's looking at him right now. The slow orb is going to force him to stay put, but nobody's there for the follow-up. Now Acend with the Blade Storm tries to come through, and Loki just takes the top of his head clean off. Cold Dementor makes this competitive, brings in the res, 4 versus 3. Vitality just having to hold on. The spike is down on the ground, yet to be picked up. Vitality actually backing off and repositioning.
Yeah, Acend definitely want to make this push happen, but Jesmond has just taken a double through the smoke. Cold Dementor returns the favor, and Killaz with another. Suddenly, Jesmond is alone. A 1 versus 2 faces him, and with barely any time, the spike goes down. This round has flipped on its head a number of times. Cold Dementor on low HP, but he won't be the first point of contact unless he chooses to take that fight, but I think he's playing off of Killaz. This is the perfect setup. As Jesmond goes forward, he will be peaked on by 2, and the round should be over before it even begins. Looking to the left side, that's where the first point is, and Killaz even finishes it. I love that, and this is what we've been critiquing Acend for not having, is that kind of a post-plan setup. They've been throwing away rounds where they have the spike planted and everything going their way, and this time they've made the change. They're much more proactive.
Brams, the fact that he wasn't punished here, the fact that he went for even more is ridiculous. Acend jumping in, Loki predicts it, but it's Cold Dementor from here on out that just opens the door for his team. The spike is planted, or not even planted, it's just down in the most awkward position, yet they still make it work. Vitality have been wobbly for so long. You're looking at 3 or 4 rounds at least that Acend have been able to grab in a row. That is an interesting lineup. I don't think that's one of Jonas's. If it is, I'll send him a message later, be like, why? Vitality, that just sums up Vitality so far. They're now starting to sweat a little. Mistakes are starting to appear in their otherwise perfect game on Haven.
If you can get a consistent lineup, though, from A side, that can be nice. Like, free C information. Like, look at that. They didn't spot anybody, so they're playing primarily in Garage, and eventually they'll have to go back and check for C long. In fact, they're not even. They must presume that Ascend's favor is the A side, and so far, it has been. This is a gamble from Vitality that is paying off, but Jesmond's been spotted and now down to 5 HP. The close range fight doesn't stand much of a chance.
He was flashed by the Paranoia and still connects Jesmond. This is where, like, Vitality is starting to worry me a little bit. You're 5 HP, back out. Maybe now's not the time to try and double down and surprise them, because Acend are really good at judo throwing this momentum back into their favor. They get those 2 kills, and Hunter's Fury from Loki comes out. That's a big ultimate expended, and it doesn't really seem to add to much. Sender has made his way in closer to Starzo, but the flick is just good enough that it's now a 1 versus 5 for Vitality.
Ridiculous for Starzo as well. He just played hopscotch with that ultimate, jumped over the Hunter's Fury, then manages to get a kill off of it after being healed up and is on 3 HP. Like, those 2 kills, he might even get another. If Loki goes towards Garage, I think that's Starzo's kill, and that would be a huge round from what could have easily been the end straight away. I mean, okay, there he goes. He did receive a headshot at the very beginning, but only the fact that Vitality were on a low buy, it didn't get the instant kill. Now, 11 to 12. Vitality need to save over this weapon. This is one of the times there's almost no excuse. And if Loki had have jumped out that window and missed, it would be hilarious. But it looks like he's going to be saving up in heaven. And this is a nice spot, right? They can only come at you from one direction. Gives him the best shot to save it over, but he is being hunted. They are close. Cold Dementor about to round the corner. Loki, can he survive? Oh, the right clicks. Somehow he's alive. He was only on 20 HP. There's just 1 bullet needed. But it's like the scene from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, that is a Christmas miracle in April, that he's still alive. The fact that we've played 10 rounds on this half so far, Vitality have won 2. They need to win 4. And they've lost, how many is that, 8 now? Acend on match point from being 9-3 down. This could really fall out of favor for Vitality right through their fingers. Because Ascent is going to be a really tough map for Vitality to take. It's possible, sure, they've really changed our expectations in this series overall, but they should have been taking this. And now this is their last chance to at least bring it to overtime. Well, yet again, man, this game is nuts.
That it is paying off to be a much better game than I think what most people would have expected. I called the 2-0 for Ascend, and I was almost ready to call the 2-0 for Vitality after the first half, but they finally found their form. They're answering up. Cypher spotted down on second mid, but it's a full C hit. Flash to the back. Brams in trouble, spotted out. But no, actually, the Cloudburst is protecting him in a little bit of trouble here as he gets to the back site, using his own dash to stay alive. Now wants to peek around the side. This is a messy round, but when Vitality are claiming, they're looking for overtime, and it looks like they have it. It's all up to Starzo, spotted on long. The whole team is here, and they quickly deal with him. 12-12, another OT, second map in a row as Ascend desperately tried to get to map 3.
It was ridiculous. In that fight as well, just like look at the perspectives. In a smoke. It's just chaos with all of the stuff on the site. All of the Seekers seem to connect as well on the attack. Like Brams was hit by it. One other player on the C site was hit by it. There was no information, and Vitality just through all of the smokes and mirrors was still able to connect their shots on. Well, as Ascend were looking to maybe sneak the win on Haven, Vitality just at the right time responded decent fashion. They took the last overtime 2-0 on Icebox. Can they do it again? Could Ascend try and do that? As I was saying to you before, have we ever seen a game go to like 3 overtimes in a best of 3 series? I honestly feel it's going to happen with this one based on how these teams are playing.
Yeah, we've had our fair share of overtimes, especially on Haven. Let's see if this is going to be another 17-15 game. It could go all day. It's been very one-sided halves for each team as we come into this overtime. The full buy sees an operator in the hands of Brams, and he's able to take Starzo out. Sender also falls, but Bone Cold doesn't hear any more steps on A long. Oh my god, it might not matter. That whole storyline of a flank coming in. Well, what is there to flank when Brams is doing that? He's just shredding them. They've now spotted both players. They know where each of these guys are, and they have a 2-man advantage. An easy plan for B, and they have to hold off against what they know is a flank and a player on C.
Bone Cold trying to sneak by. It's going to be met by the tripwire. Breaks it. I thought he might teleport over it, to be honest, just to really keep Vitality guessing. Desmond is out of double doors, wins that duel onto Bone Cold. That's such a key pick. And now Keyless has it all to do. 1 down, 3 more to go. They know exactly where he is. He's down to 70 HP. And Vitality actually doing something we haven't seen a lot of, being patient, waiting for Ascend to be the aggressor on the defense. And look at where Cena died, down on the bottom of C long, the blue X. That was Brams with an operator waiting for him on that angle.
It's frustrating. It really is frustrating right now if you're playing as Ascend. That round especially, Killer's played it so well in that late stage. He waited for the spam, then turned from the flash. Like, mechanically, that guy is on point. But as a unit, Ascend are not living up to expectations. And Vitality now just 1 round away from closing it out. Brams, again, invests into that operator, and it's a mid-peak he wants to take. But it's all about A, baby. Look at these guys geared up and ready to fight. They're all around here. Bone Cold already TP'd into the left side. They're making noise, but this is a waiting game. All they want is for that A control to be taken so Sender can pop the paranoia and they can take the peak as a unit and demolish this attack. They just need this 1 round, and they've got it all in the bag.
And they're not pushing any limits. Look how far Jesmond's playing back. He's not pushing. He's just, I'm sitting in my spawn with the camera on C and I am not moving until I'm told to. Meanwhile, on A, it's a different story. 3 players lined up and Brams wanted to push. He wants to get that information, but this is nice restraint from Vitality and Ascend. They're waiting for something that looks like it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And Brams, if he could get this kill, that's it. If he can pick this kill, but it's the guiding light that takes him away, he's gonna go for the peak again, and that's onto Bone Cold. That's big.
That's a huge pick, Ryan. Absolutely massive. And look, they're able to freely rotate now over towards the C site, ready to catch them on the way out. Brams spamming as the cage blocks sight. But look who's snuck in a position. They've looked as well, because they've taken Jessamine down. The flank that CNET is on could pay huge dividends as well. Brams peeks close. Good kill. Trades back. CNET in the back. Has to go quickly. A 1v2. A player close. He gets the first. Mo going in for the 3K. That shock dart tags him. And Loki finishes it off. 14 rounds for Vitality. They have knocked Acend out. The Masters champions no more.
The two finalists